Hey everybody, this is JDGaming back with a deck profile for the November 15th, or November 2015 format. I guess you could say this is for that adjusted ban list from February 8th. Really doesn't change anything in this deck other than, I guess, the kinds of matchups you will play. You'll obviously not be playing against full-powered Pepe after this format, but nonetheless, this is just a fun little creation that I came up with that I think is still relevant. It was really good against that Pepe deck, and now I guess if people are still playing that strategy or anything else really, should be pretty decent against them. It is a Traptrix variant, but don't get me wrong here. I mean, Traptrix, you really have like 4 different monsters, and then you have a bunch of trap hole cards, and then 1 Xyz monster, so there's not really much you can do with like pure Traptrix. So basically I just took Myrmilio and Dionea, wanted to maximize their efficiency at doing what they do best, getting free defenses as a +1 and getting free Xyz monsters as a +1, and then I included my own things from different other strategies I've played to kind of boost that kind of ability. So it's its own unique thing now, but I guess I'll call it Traptrix for now because that's, you know, the core of what this is. If you have any suggestions on it, feel free to let me know down below, but pretty much the way this is going to work, I will do kind of the typical article style, this is how I built the deck and this is why things are in here type of thing. But if you don't want to see that, you can click the emergency teleport right there and it'll take you over to the end of the video where I do a kind of dueling network style. Everything's alphabetical by card type, and you can just copy the list if you want to. You know, I mean, this thing I actually haven't had as much time to test as a lot of the other strategies, and yet I feel so much more confident with how this deck turned out compared to a lot of others. Maybe it's because a lot of recurring themes that I've been using in other strategies have all come together. It's almost like an all-star team of sorts for the things you may have seen on this channel. So nonetheless, I've spoken for a couple minutes now. There's plenty. Hope you guys enjoy this deck as much as I did making it. And if you want to see how it was made, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, so as usual, we're going to start off with a few cards that establish the theme of the deck. This time we are, of course, playing Traptrix, so we're starting off with an entire playset of Traptrix Myrmilio. If you don't know what she does yet, she has 2 abilities. Upon normal summon, you get to fetch any whole normal trap card from your deck and add it to your hand as a +1, and then if it's special summoned through any way, she has the ability to basically MST 1 card your opponent controls. That is a mandatory effect, which is very weird. In some cases that is abusable by the opponent, but most of the time it's not really exploited. You just care that you can use that repeatable +1 no matter how she's put into play. So if she comes into play, you get a free card, or get rid of a free card. So gets you access to basically making Xyz monsters and Synchro monsters without losing presence. For that, we can also run the 3 trap holes. I'll just go over them real fast here. We have these are the only 3 trap holes, and the reasoning you'll see here is because Treacherous Trap Hole is a very versatile card that says you destroy any 2 monsters on the field, but you can't play it if you have no trap cards. This is really something that you don't want to play with many other trap cards. In testing, I found if you keep it to a minimum, it is definitely playable, and we'll get to more into that in a bit. Time Space is just good. It was really good with pendulums, but now with them getting hit very hard, I'm playing only 1 copy here. Pretty much if your opponent summons anything from the hand or extra deck, could be a single monster, could be a ton, you shuffle all those guys back into the deck and then lose 1,000 life for each one. So it's a very nice out to a lot of common extra deck plays. It's good against things like BLS or whatever, and it's of course great at demolishing pendulums as well. Bottomless Trap Hole is also amazing because you get to swallow up an entire pendulum summon, throw them all in banished area, and of course it's just a general out to pretty much anything. All 3 of these you can see are tailored towards killing pendulums, but you know, you could use this against any typical deck as well. And the great thing is the fact that your Myrmilio is unaffected by whole normal trap cards, which means your Treacherous can even just work as a single 1-for-1, just kill your opponent's monster and try to kill your Myrmilio. If they play 1 card, you lose your Treacherous and not your Myrmilio. Your opponent loses their monster. It's a clean 1-for-1. And we'll basically be able to abuse these trap holes in just a bit. So that is the main monster that we have, and in order to abuse it, we have 2 boss monsters that we will be aiming for. First off, we have Naturia Beast. Basically, if we can get a level 1 tuner on the board to synchro with our Myrmilio, we can bring out this bad boy. That really happens very easily through a simple engine that we will play. It is the 3 emergency teleport that I oh so love in Psychics, and 1 copy of Recover. If you don't know Recover, he's very similar to Glow Up Bulb. He says you can summon him from the graveyard if your opponent has 5 or more cards than you and they're extra than you. Used to be a horrible effect if you played a full 15, but nowadays with Pendulum monsters, you can actually get that revival effect off. But even beyond that, your main purpose for him is he's a level 1 monster. You can get to the board with their teleport, so you Myrmilio for a +1, and then you can go and teleport, turn it into a Naturia Beast. Awesome. You basically just turned 2 cards into a Naturia Beast, but then you also got a free defense for that beast. It's really hard to crack a beast if you're protected from the monsters that might have effects that can kill it, or monsters that have the ability to take it out in battle. You can fetch any of these with Myrmilio, so you are very safe if you can do that play. And then to kind of bolster that, we're actually going to be playing the Traptrix Rafflesia. This is a new Xyz monster from BOSH that has a bunch of abilities. It makes your Traptrix guys pretty much invincible other than her. And then you also have the ability, the most important ability everyone knows, is that you get to copy the effect of a trap hole anytime the activation timing is correct. And for Treacherous, that's at any time in the game. The best way to bring out this type of generic rank 4 is going to be our Norden. So we're playing 2 copies of Elder Entity Norden. Yes, this is a Korean proxy, I know, but I'm just not going to shell out for another one. I mean, I guess it's only a few bucks, but don't want it to get banned, but that's just my own personal pick. We are going to be bringing out Norden with Instant Fusion, and this pretty much means it's a 3-card combo, but if you have a Myrmilio with a teleport with an Instant Fusion, which happens once in a while, you'll basically start off with both of these on the board for free, and then you will have a trap hole that you fetched, access to a treacherous effect, and your opponent pretty much loses at that point. In testing, I found that this ends up happening, this effective board of those 2 monsters happens quite a lot because of the other supplementary cards we're going to be playing in order to allow this type of situation. Even if you don't draw Myrmilio or you don't draw Teleport or Instant Fusion, we're going to be able to basically skew things in our favor. So now that we have the main purpose of our deck established, it's time to add in some cards that will help make it a lot more consistent, because as we've just seen, a 3-card combo almost never happens consistently. So we need to flesh out our deck with cards that will effectively do the same thing. We're starting off with 3 Lone Fire Blossoms. These things were originally in here to fetch Traptrix Nepenthes. Basically, she's a monster that lets you get free Traptrix monsters anytime you resolve a Trap Hole card. That, of course, requires you to play tons of different Trap Holes, which is not a bad strategy, but it's not something you want to try to do with Treacherous Trap Hole, which is, I feel, the new age of Traptrix. That's basically how you're supposed to play Traptrix now, to get the maximum advantage possible from those cards. So, we will be playing Lone Fire not to fetch Nepenthes, but rather to fetch out our plant engine here. These, you guys are probably familiar with. Glow Up Bulb and Spore are level 1 tuners that let you go for all your big plays. They're repeatable in summons because you either banish a dead Lone Fire for Spore, or you just bring Glow Up Bulb back for free. Glow Up Bulb is amazing because it is a level 1 that you can utilize towards that Naturia Beast summon, and then Spore will have even more plant targets besides just these when we add in a few extra cards for this deck. And of course, this allows us to play the 1-for-1 and Foolish Burial, which are both amazing. The Foolish Burial pretty much is an emergency teleport in this strategy when you want to go for that Recover-like play. Simply summon your Myrmilio or any other level 4 Earth, use Foolish, drop that bulb, and you have a Naturia Beast right there, and you can still proceed to Instant Fusion. So this is like a 4th teleport, and 1-for-1 does a similar thing, dumping any monster from your hand to bring out Bulb, or even Recover, and then you can go and do that same thing. You have the materials needed for that Naturia Beast, and overall this just gives you a lot of different options for your extra deck as well. Interestingly, I'm going to throw these together just from the coincidental typing here. Traptrix Dionea, you guys know, is a key part of the Traptrix engine. It's a 17 beater that basically debris dragons back your Myrmilios or your Dioneas in order to give you a free Xyz summon. That effect is very, very powerful in the strategy. We are going to play Dionea to the fullest by running 3 of her 4, fetching that Myrmilio. And the cool thing in this strategy is if you happen to open with a Lone Fire, now you can just summon Lone Fire, sack it for a Dionea if it's mid to late game and you have a Trap Hole in your grave, you get to recover it with Diana's second effect, and if not, you still have a level 4 plant on the board that you can use as if you normal summoned your Myrmilio. So remember, the 3 components that we needed to get out Beast and Rafflesia were the Myrmilio, or level 4 Earth, some sort of way to bring a level 1 tuner to the board, and an instant fusion to bring out that Rafflesia through Norden. Well, this basically gives us 3 more guys here, and 3 more guys here, so a total of 9 level 4 monsters in our main deck. So it makes it much, much easier to consistently pull off that combo. And of course, you know, powerful 1-for-1 Xyz plays are not something to be completely ignored either. I mean, Diana is a power card in and of itself. The fact that you can tutor it with Lonefire if you need the attribute and level is just phenomenal. Extra synergy for no reason. Why the heck not? One other engine that I liked to flesh out is that Psychic engine. Playing Teleport is nice, but you don't want to play 3 Teleports and just 1 Recover. That is silly. So we are actually playing 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This thing, as you know, is a level 3 tuner. Light monster. We don't care that it's a light all that much in this strategy, though you could, I guess, if you wanted to play something like Ancient Sacred Wyvern. Main reason this thing's in here is it gives you access to things like Black Rose Dragon, which, in a plant-based deck, has a lot of applications because you have both the destroy the board and flip up a monster and 0 its attack ability. So very good for just giving you synchro options. It's amazing even if you draw it, which makes it pretty much anytime I play a Psychic engine, which I just love so much. This thing's amazing because if you don't care about its particular attribute, or even if you don't care too much about its level, I mean, it's just useful even if you draw it. So very, very useful card all around. And then we're playing 1 Rise Bell. Yes, this is a dead draw if you happen to pick it up. But the main reason this is in here is because it allows your teleport to go into a level 4 monster. Well, with this guy you can go and Xyz, or you can go for a bigger synchro monster. It gives you basically a lot of fixed hands where a lot of times you draw that teleport and it's not going to save you based on what other cards you draw. Just through testing, I found the 1 Rise Bell doesn't dead draw your opening all that often, but most of the time it'll actually save your teleports and make them more useful. So that's the reason it's in here. I mean, is it something that you need? Not necessarily. Is it something I recommend? From my testing, yes. And now here are just some extra cards to flesh out the rest of our main deck, also thinking towards the same goals that we thought of before and trying to get those to come to fruition. First off, we have 3 copies of Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd. I played this in my Floater Extra Special or F.E.S deck. I love this thing to death. Pretty much, it has a Cyber Dragon summon ability, so if you go second, great. You got a free level 4 for absolutely no reason on the board. It's 1800 with Piercing, and anytime he does damage, even with that piercing ability, you get to fetch another copy, so it is a self-sufficient engine that gets you materials for your level, or your rank 4 Xyz summons, and your bigger synchro play, so very amazing. Plus the fact that this special summons itself is a real boon for this deck, because if you're going second, you bring this guy out, any tuner you draw, or any teleport you have, or any lone fire you have, automatically becomes live, because now you can normal that lone fire or dead tuner, or whatever, and you get a free non-tuner on the board. You can go and make that synchro or Xyz play, and it makes it so your hands don't get bad from having tuners in the deck. It's an inherent problem of having tuner monsters is you'll draw them, and you can't do anything with them. Having monsters like this that get on the board for free and that are non-tuners will help fix that problem. Similarly, we have Jurigatos. Jurigato is amazing because you bring him out in the battle phase, get 1,000 life, that's really powerful, and then he has an attack pump ability that makes it hard for your opponent to take down your guys. Basically, Jurigato is useful in all different ways for your strategy because it does a similar fix your hand if you draw tuners things, because you just bring this guy out, costs you a battle phase, but I mean, if you can get a play out, it's probably better than nothing. You can use this as a hand trap to just protect yourself. I mean, it absorbs between his own attack and the extra boost, essentially 2,700 damage for free. Well, I guess with his life point boost and then the 1,700 attack, he does 2,700 absorbed from your opponent's attack, so helps save you more often than you would think. And then he can even pump up monsters like your Naturia Beast. He can pump up even something like an Assault Halberd and let it do massive piercing damage. I don't know. Lots of variable applications with Jurigato. And then in case I didn't mention it, the Halberd is also useful for its Earth typing. You could just drop it normal summon or otherwise fetch out your Earth Tuner, it lets you go for Beast as well. So very powerful level 4s to basically help us with our tuner hands and make our rank 4 plays more consistently. From there, I want to play 4 trap cards to flesh out our lineup. It's a total of 7. 2 breakthrough skills, because this deck really does want to stop annoying monster effects that can take out things like Naturia Beast and Rafflesia. So playing this just lets you get around eccentric Archfiends. It lets you stop just, I don't know, any Floodgate type monster, because I play against a lot of Vanities Fiends and stuff. You guys probably will see a lot of those with Monarchs anyway, so I feel like it's a very good option. Plus the fact that it banishes itself from the grave means it's not as liable to cause that Treacherous to be dead. So very, very useful trap card. Then 2 more power traps. I play 1 Warning and 1 Vanity's Emptiness. This is amazing if you can get something like Stardust Dragon out, which we can with that Rise Bell. And then Warning, of course. I mean, it's Warning. It's just a card that's worth playing, in my opinion. Swallow up entire Pendulum Summons. Make your opponent minus hard into a card that they cannot get around otherwise. Just a phenomenal trap. Again, trap lineup of 7, but when you can use Rafflesia and Myrmilios to fetch out that Treacherous as early as turn 1, and you have the ability to get rid of things like breakthrough skills from the grave, and then you really only have these 2 traps and 2 other trap holes that you could potentially draw first. I mean, in testing, I find you almost never have Treacherous be dead, so this is a good succinct trap lineup. Does everything you want it to. No wasted traps here, and it allows you to effectively abuse the heck out of that Rafflesia. 2 more spells here. We have 1 Soul Charge and 1 Raigeki. These are pretty much the antitheses of each other. Raigeki clears your opponent's board so you can just kill them. And then Soul Charge allows you to go and just set up incredible boards. I mean, the fact that this deck can do this type of stuff from its hand shows you how powerful it is in terms of its setup game. And when you can go and reuse all of your resources, or even just bring back your entire big pieces with Soul Charge, it's nuts. So definitely a must-run in this strategy. And then we have, last but certainly not least, 2 tech slots. These are things you can definitely change depending on your meta. I'm just having fun with these 2 right now. If you want to play upstarts, heck, you can run upstarts, whatever you want. But I'm running 1 Debris Dragon. This thing, of course, has targets in the Lone Fires. Sometimes you just have to exceed with it. I mean, it's not the worst thing if you're just going Rafflesia or something. But the fact that you can just normal summon this into a Black Rose is insane, because you have that second ability to flip up monsters, attack for whatever attack you have through their 0. It's just an amazing card that I really do like having access to. And then Genex Ally Birdman's another tuner monster. This thing you guys may know from being abused with like Reborn Tengu and stuff. Well, similarly, we can actually abuse things like our Diana and Myrmilio, because these things have their normal summoned type effect. So you just bounce them back to your hand, reutilize those effects for more free pluses. It actually works similarly with Debris Dragon for that same reason. Bounce back Debris Dragon, you actually get a nice attack boost in that case. You can bounce to the hand things like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit if you decide to teleport it out. You still have a level 3 tuner, but now you have a Snow Rabbit to back up your play. I mean, there are just so many different little things you can do with this strategy using the Birdman. Oh yeah, another fun thing to do. You summon Norden, bring out whatever you want, bounce back that target for Birdman, and now you can just Synchro for Black Rose or something, and then if it's like a Myrmilio or Diana or something you revived with Norden, you get to reuse that effect, because the Norden won't banish the card unless Norden itself leaves the field first. So very useful. It is a gimmick, I will say that, but there are so many different interactions with this deck. I'm having so much fun with it, and I don't think a lot of people expect the things you can do with these 2 cards, so have fun with those 2. That's pretty much all I have for the main. And so finally, the extra deck. We, of course, already have our Naturia Beast, our Rafflesia, and our 2 Nordens that I'll put here. Yes, again, one is Korean. I just don't want to get an English one right now if it's going to maybe get hit. Though I guess I'm not too afraid, considering the adjustment did not touch Norden. Let's see. First, level 5s, we have Armades and Hi-Speedroid Chanbara. Armades is just an, in general, really good card. Prevents your opponent's monster effects, either from the hand or grave, from activating in battle. Prevents your opponent from using back row. It's just so useful. If you basically want a Wrecking Ball that prevents your opponent from fighting back, you run this thing. And it's especially relevant in my meta because I can use it to stop hand traps in Black Wings, hand traps like Honest in light decks. I can stop things like Pyramid Turtle or Goblin Zombie and Zombies, so very useful card all around. Chanbara is actually fun. It's in here because I like to OTK with this strategy. A lot of people don't realize, but although this is a fairly slow-paced control deck, or apparently a slow-paced control deck, it's actually a very quick control deck that has the ability to pump out damage out of nowhere. If you have a Chanbara and a Jurigato, that's actually game, because the way it works, if your opponent has no board, you go for your Synchro summon just like you would for Naturia Beast, let's say. Enter your battle phase, drop Jurigato, gain 1,000 life, but that doesn't matter. Attack for 1,700, your opponent is down to 63. Tribute your Jurigato and power up Chanbara, so now he is at 3,000 attack. Chanbara can attack twice per turn and gains 200 attack every time he battles, including when he attacks. So now you can do 3,200 directly, which brings your opponent down from 63 down into, 31. And then you could go ahead and use Chanbara and attack again for 3,400. Your opponent will be 300 overkilled just from these two cards. And if you saw how easy it was to bring out Naturia Beast and, Rafflesia, well, now you just need to go any level 5, drop a Jurigato that you have no other play you need to make, just drop it from your hand because that's what it does, and you win the game. So opens up a ton of really silly OTK opportunities. If your opponent tries to play passively against you to kind of wait it out if you're, blockading them, they will die. So that's why Chanbara is in here, to abuse and make the maximum use out of those 3 Jurigatos. Then for, level 6, I don't play any, mainly because I find you could run a 6 if you really wanted, but I almost never need that 6. So if you really want it, I encourage you to try out that slot, but I'm finding all these guys are too important in my meta, so try running a 6 if you want. I personally don't think you need it, just for the sake of running a 6. 7s, we run 1 Black Rose Dragon for its 2 abilities. Of course, you do have the ability to go and stop your opponent from hitting you, or from defending from you, rather. You could hit them through their monsters, so that's always nice. You win games out of nowhere like that. It basically creates scenarios where if your opponent sets a monster, they're susceptible to things like this. Clearwing Synchro Dragon is here just to stop the opponent. It is a very phenomenal effect negator. I use this mainly to stop things like artifacts in my meta, so, and it's also good against Monarchs as well, like classic Monarchs, so I think overall, Clearwing is a solid option to go for. It's nice to have like Naturia Beast at 5, Clearwing at 7, things that you can put on the board as an investment that's not going to be risky. You're not going to just die because you left this thing on the board because it has an inherent protection effect. Our 8s really play into that theme, playing 1 Stardust Dragon and 1 Stardust Spark Dragon. I considered things like Scrap Dragon, but I just don't really need more attack power or removal at this level. I just found Stardust helps protect your board, and then Stardust Spark Dragon does a similar thing, but also has the ability to protect you from, say, Honest or Kalut if you see your opponent attacking you with a weaker monster. You can also protect that Vanity's Emptiness, so that if you draw that limited card, yes, it's limited, but you might just win the game off of a teleport if you have this thing. Overall, 2 phenomenal monsters that help make your opponent get even more backed into a corner, because now they can't even remove the single piece that they need to start having a chip away effect at your board. So ensures you win. A Trishula, this thing you can bring out stupid easily, because anytime you can make a free rank 4, you could just bring out a tuner with teleport, or bring back Bulb with its own effect. You have a Trishula, absolutely no reason not to play this thing. This is a must run in this deck. And then that is the Synchro lineup. We're basically fleshing out the last 4 cards with just Xyz. So we have 1 Abyss Dweller. This thing, I love this thing to death. In my meta, it works wonders. I'm sure in a lot of your guys' metas in general, it will do you very, very big plays. Just stop your opponent from doing anything, and the fact that it gains attack from water guys means you can Norden into this thing for 22 beater, and the option to lock your opponent out. Very powerful card. Fits into that lockdown theme. We have a Castel for obvious purposes, just remove something. It does have that Book of Moon ability that I don't think anyone really cares about that much, but mainly it's there for that removal. Similarly, I do like Silent Honor Arc. This you can bring out if you have something like Vanity's Emptiness, and you don't want to lose your monster. It protects you from things like that. And then I felt like this is a little more versatile than having double Castel, because sometimes you just want a monster that sticks. Arc lets you do that. I haven't had any complaints with it, so this is player preference. You can choose a double Castel or something else if you want, but I like Arc, and it's been working. And finally, Gagaga Samurai, something that I run in anything running Norden. Pretty much, if you have Norden, and it's been instant fusioned, you can't attack with it. So you have basically your other guy can attack, or you can attack with your Xyz. Samurai creates similar situations to that Chanbara, because now you can attack with 1900 twice, and since you can Norden right into it, you basically turn an instant fusion into a double attacker. If you use Yugioh, you actually do 7,500 damage total, which isn't enough to win from full, but that's still a huge chunk of life out of nowhere, again, just from instant fusion and a Yugioh, so I think it's a solid choice. It's worth having. Again, normally if you have just two guys that you can attack with anyway, there's no reason to stack for Samurai because you would just lose attack points or maybe just gain a little bit. It's not worth consolidating into one guy. With Samurai and Norden, though, I mean, you can't attack anyway with the other guy, or you play Dionea, your Myrmilio's in defense, just stack him for Samurai, attack twice. So it actually does put in that extra work. That second attack is relevant, and in this strategy with that Yugioh, it really does come in and end games out of nowhere. If you watched the video in its entirety, thank you very much once again. It really does mean a lot that you guys care about the kinds of thought that goes into making these deck profiles. I really would do a lot more of these things, but I don't think it's really worth putting a bunch of garbage that I just toy around with on my channel, so I really feel like it's things that get refined and past the initial stages of testing that actually make it onto this channel, so that's why it takes so long. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this more refined kind of deck. Without further ado, here is the list. We have a Debris Dragon, we have Gen X Ally Birdman, 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 1 Glow Up Bulb, 3 Heroic Challenger Assault Halberd, 3 Yugioh, 3 Lone Fire Blossom, 1 Recover, 1 Rizebel the Star Adjuster, a Spore, 3 Traptrix Dionea, and 3 Traptrix Myrmilio. That ends the monster lineup. For spells, we have 3 Emergency Teleport, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Instant Fusion, 1 1-for-1, a Raigeki, and a Soul Charge. And finally for traps, we just run 7 of these things, a Bottomless, 2 Breakthrough Skills, Solemn Warning, Time Space Trap Hole, a Treacherous, and a Vanity's Emptiness. And I guess word real